Hello everyone, I hope you can see me and hear me well. Please message in the chat if you can. Okay, I can see some hellos, fantastic. Welcome to What It Takes to Build a Personal Brand event. It is really good to have you here. This is our 7th event of this year's What It Takes Alumni Speaker Series for 23-24. My name is Maria Kogan, my pronouns are she, they. I'm a senior mentoring officer at the University of Westminster, and I oversee all group mentoring programs at the University of Westminster. So some of you might have seen me in your classroom, and if not, maybe you heard about our Future Ready mentoring programs, and I never miss an opportunity to plug our fantastic mentoring programs where you can be matched with industry experts who can support you for professional development. So if you haven't heard of us, please do check Future Ready Mentoring out. I will be chairing this session today with Raimonda, and I'm particularly excited to be chairing this session for two specific reasons. Firstly, I have always been intrigued by the phenomenon of personal brand, particularly in this day and age, and this is something that we talk to students quite a lot, particularly about building a personal brand online, on LinkedIn. So I'm really excited to hear Raimonda talk about personal brand and how to build it. And generally discuss the importance of understanding who you are, what you want, and being able to communicate it to the right audience. And the second reason why I'm so excited to be here and share this event is because I will be on a call with such an advocate for women's rights and women's success. I have been part of our Women of Westminster organization for a couple of years now and have co-founded and co-led our mentoring program for women colleagues for 2 years as well with my fantastic colleague Sarah. And so we have always been very interested in empowering women at our university and beyond. So I'm personally really excited to have Raimonda here, who is such a champion of women's voices. But I will try not to get ahead of myself. And before I introduce our speaker, I just want to do some housekeeping. So firstly, probably you noticed that this call is being recorded. We will edit this event. We'll edit the video, we'll make it available on YouTube when it's ready, and then we will send you the link. Your cameras and microphones are automatically turned off. However, you will have access to the chat. And I can see that lots of you are already using the chat. Thank you. So this will be a place where you can be asking questions to our speaker. We will be collating all the questions together, and at the end of the event, I will ask your questions to Raimonda. So do post your questions. It's always exciting to hear what our fantastic speakers have to say. The live chat is on. However, the live recording, which ends on YouTube, won't pick up any of your usernames on the chat. And while we're speaking of usernames, I can see that my colleagues have posted an announcement in the chat. But if you want your attendance to be recorded, it's very important that you join with your full name and student number. So if you haven't done it, please just quickly leave the session and rejoin with your full name and student number. This will help us record the attendance. All right. Also, obviously, there are lots of people on this call, so you might see a lot of notifications and get the notification sounds. If this is something that disturbs you, you can change your notifications settings in the settings. This is the purple button on the right corner. Click on this purple button, go to settings, and you can turn off the sound and any notifications that you want to turn off. This should make your experience on this session a bit more convenient. So finally, I am delighted to introduce our alumni speaker for today's talk. Her name is Raimonda Jankunaite, who will be sharing her insights on how to build a personal brand and online presence. After completing her business management degree at Westminster in 2011, Raimonda has gone on to become a serial entrepreneur, a best-selling author, and an international speaker and speaking coach. She is the founder and CEO of Women Thrive Media and host of Women Thrive Summit, which is one of the largest global virtual women's empowerment events. Since 2017, Raimonda has grown her global community to over 600,000 followers and now publishes Women Thrive magazine, which in print globally. This is a practical and inspirational talk that will get you thinking about your own personal brand value and help you create more influence and direction how you add value to the world. So I'm now very excited to pass over to Raimonda and I will come back online and ask your questions to her at the end. So please put any questions you have in the virtual chat box as we go along. Over to you, Raimonda.
Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone joining today's session. It's such a pleasure to be here. Maria, thank you for this wonderful introduction. And hopefully, please let me know if you can see me. This is a new system I'm working, so we'll see how we get on. But it's exciting to see so many people here today, and also to be back here presenting this topic, because like yourself, I was also a student at Westminster University quite a few years ago, and have also taken an entrepreneurial route in my career. And today I work with hundreds, if not thousands of people all around the world. And personal brand was not something that I intentionally thought of at the beginning when I started my entrepreneurial career, but it's certainly something that I have discovered along the way. And this is something that has helped me build an international presence and opened doors to many incredible opportunities. So what I'm going to be doing right now is going to share my slides with you. So if you could tell me that if you're able to see them, that would be amazing. Like I said, it's the first time navigating this program, and I did get a bit of a one-on-one training on this a few days ago, so that truly helps. So thanks to James who helped me set up. And I see some Lithuanian ladies in the comments as well. So welcome. What does it take to build a personal brand and thought leadership? And myself, as someone who champions thought leadership and women empowerment, I think it's really important, especially at the stage where you're at right now, to think about your personal brand. How do you stand out in the marketplace, in front of your employers, stakeholders, people that you are looking to influence? And in today's world, I believe personally that personal brand is one of the imperative tools that you can have to help you open more doors and opportunities. So I'd love for you to also have a notepad, and if you can, not multitask, because I think this session really requires you to think a little bit more, maybe brainstorm. So have a pen and paper to take some notes, and also dive into your own thoughts throughout the process, whatever comes up in this presentation. So let's get started. If you're ready, let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Say, yes, I'm ready. Let's get going. So I want to ask you if you would like to perhaps find a career of your dreams, or maybe you're here because you want to, like myself, become an entrepreneur, a business owner, and build a business. Maybe you're considering publishing a book at some time in your career. Maybe you're wanting to do more public speaking, or simply create more impact in the world. And for me, this is where it all began. I wanted to create more impact in the world, and I've chosen an entrepreneurial route. But I didn't know the importance of having a personal brand. And actually, I didn't know that all of these things would become part of my journey. So what I do today is far from what I envisioned when I first started out in entrepreneurship. And I truly found my alignment and path the more I lean into my unique journey. So yes, these might be the things that you're wanting to do. I'd love to see in the chat which direction you're going, so I can tell who is here in the room. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Do you want to find an ideal career for yourself? And maybe you're just about to graduate. Maybe you are like me, who always thought that I want to have my own business, and that is the way I want to realize my potential in the world. Or maybe some of the other things that I do today, like publishing a book or doing public speaking internationally and making an impact. It will be interesting to see who we have here in the room. Great. I can see quite a few entrepreneurs and building a business, which is super important. So this topic that we're talking about is really, really important. Amazing. I love that you guys are entrepreneurs. So you're my kind of people here in the room today. But I did want to also touch on your career aspirations as well, for those who are looking to build a career. I want to build a personal brand around psychology, find a career and meaningful, create more impact, entrepreneur. Amazing. You are certainly in the right room. So I love this. The first time I saw this quote of your name will be mentioned in the rooms where your feet have not stepped to. And I want to ask you, would you like for your name to be mentioned in rooms where your feet have not stepped into? So have a think about this for a second. What does that mean? What does that mean when people actually start to mention your name in places that you have not been to people that you have never had a conversation with? Right? This may seem a bit far-fetched. How can people actually talk about me? Who am I? Right? And this is usually the question that we ask ourselves. Who am I? So I want to ask you, who are you? Right? And this is certainly a reality of mine now, that my name gets mentioned in many rooms that my feet have not stepped into. And that is the power of my personal brand, my communication, and what I have built out with my community. So I want to start there, and we are going to come back to this quote later on in this session. And I hope that you will realize how powerful personal brand is and how your name could get mentioned in rooms where your foot have not stepped into. And that is the goal for me to achieve at the end of this session today. So a little bit about the personal brand, the power of your personal brand. And I believe that when you have a personal brand, when you stand for something, when you become known, you can create infinity of influence. So personal brand really has the power to help you build your influence. And in today's world, as we see, influencers and entrepreneurs and those on social media wanting to build influence. But I'm not just saying an influence where you are influencer online, but actual influence because of your thought leadership, because of the value that you bring, and because you become known for something more than just your name, right? It helps you build your thought leadership. So thought leadership is really about bringing your own ideas into life and becoming known for your area of expertise, because I know that in today's world, it is very, very competitive. Whether you want to build a business, whether you're looking to apply for a job, thought leadership could really position you as someone worth knowing, somebody who can bring value, and in the area of where you work in or what you specialize, you become the go-to expert. So that brings more authority, gives you much more credibility in the things that you're doing. Of course, without saying, it gives you much more respect by your peers and other professionals in your career. But it takes time to build that. It doesn't happen overnight. There are many things that play a part in you creating your personal brand and influence. You will see throughout this presentation pictures actually of some of my clients, some of my community members, right? And you'll see this is our Women Thrive magazine that my colleague Abigail is holding up. And yes, we were on the cover of December's issue of the Women Thrive magazine. And my goal is to help people position themselves in a place of authority, so you can open opportunities to new jobs, to new clients, to building better relationships, to creating trust, and people would sit and listen. Now, today I have clients who have been phenomenally successful in their careers, who have built incredible businesses. They live in, near Central Park in New York City, who have incredible businesses in California and other parts of the world. Yet when they come to my sessions and when they come to my group coaching calls, they hang on to every word I say. And maybe this has not been a relationship that has been built over time, but yet they trust my authority. And that's, again, part of your personal brand, that people will lean in to listen what you have to say. And that comes with great amount of also responsibility in you as a thought leader, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as an influencer, to become that authority and also use that credibility to not only to your advantage, but also with care. Okay. How do you develop thought leadership? We'll talk about it throughout this session, but part of the thought leadership is really being clear about Where is your area of expertise? Now, thought leadership can come in many different ways. Becoming an expert in what it is that you do, creating results in your area of expertise, building a track record, becoming known for something, writing about that subject. So in today's world, the online media, and I don't just mean social media, it has vast amount of opportunities for you to build thought leadership. Maybe there's something you're passionate about. Why not start a blog, right? Publishing a blog gives you a lot of credibility. Maybe you want to consider doing a podcast. Again, that's another means of communication. Maybe you want to present yourself to run some workshops or coach small groups around in your local area, or go to events and really become vocal about the things that you're an expert in. But I'm getting ahead of myself, but I love those questions. I love the questions that you're already starting to build in your mind. How do I build this thought leadership? Because it's truly part of your personal brand. Okay, but we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into it. So this is the power of your personal brand, because you get to do that. You get to build that credibility, and it works like magic. I have opened many incredible opportunities, many doors, many relationships, because people have looked at me as someone as they can trust, someone who has a track record. But again, it didn't happen overnight. And when I first started in this entrepreneurial journey, when I was relatively young in my 20s, I didn't give myself enough credit for my ideas. I didn't give myself enough credit for the knowledge and expertise I already possess at an early age. Why? Because I used to think, well, you have to have years and years of experience in doing this thing, because you have to show results and have a massive track record. The truth is, each and every one of you possess some kind of knowledge. Each and every one of you probably have something that you're passionate about, something that you know a little bit more about than the average person. So I want you to really value that knowledge and value that perspective. And it becomes a habit of sharing this knowledge, writing about this knowledge, about journaling about this knowledge, because something that you have, something that you possess, that bit of knowledge, somebody else needs it. Somebody else is looking for it. And when I was young, when I was in my early 20s, I used to be really innovative around marketing ideas, right? But I didn't know how to sell it. I was like, but who would pay for it? Who would even need it? So I wasn't that confident in knowing that my skills were actually really, really valuable. Only now that are 15 years in entrepreneurship, I now do internship programs where I try to bring forth recent graduates to actually join our program so they can give us new and fresh ideas from the perspective of a client, from a perspective of being in that age group and that generation. And what I discovered over the years, that my ideas, knowledge, my perspective was actually really, really valuable. But only if I started to understand the power of personal branding, I would have started way earlier than I did to really build the credibility and authority and thought leadership in what I do today. Because when I look back today, my messaging has not changed. My passion around marketing, around visibility, around innovative marketing and business strategies has not changed. I just developed deeper depth, understanding, and experience of it over the years. But actually, this thing that I have always been passionate about has always been within me. So I call on to you today to think, what are you really passionate about? What is it that you possess more knowledge than the average person around you? And start to really write about it. Start to create content around it. Just journal, do brainstorming, whatever it takes. And then you can turn it into various types of content that would serve someone. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm getting excited. And I see that some of you are also already starting to think about that. So this is the power of your personal brand. So are you ready to open doors to opportunities you have never thought was possible before? And this picture behind me was taken actually at one of our probably second or third event in London. And I remember when I approached the venue of this, the owners of the venue that we wanted to host this event in. And when I started to have a conversation, I told the lady, I said, look, I want to create this event for women. We're probably going to have around 100 people in a room. Can you do us a great deal, right, on the partnership, on the price of the venue? And at first she was like, okay, this is our quote and this is what it is. And then I started to really tell her my story. I started to tell her my mission. And then I told her, hey, we have recently hit 10,000 followers on social media. And her ears perked up right there and then. And she said, oh, okay. And they were quite a new co-working space in London. And the minute she realized not only the mission, the purpose that was aligned with their organization, but also that I had some influence, I had some social clout. Now, that has opened opportunities for me at that particular moment. But that was the first time I realized, wow, okay, so having credibility, having the social clout or social reach is actually going to help me open much more opportunities than just this. So that's the first time I actually realized that, okay, this has value, right? And that has longevity. So a little bit about myself. I know we have had introduction, but before we dive in, I wanted to share that why am I here? Why am I here to tell you about all of this? How have I been able to use personal brand to my advantage? What are the things that I have accomplished along the way? So you can actually see a little bit about my journey. So I am a serial entrepreneur. I started my first business at the age of 21. The minute I graduated from Westminster University, I already left the university with an idea to start my own business. And one of the reasons I wanted to start a business because I wanted to create my own lifestyle. I wanted to create a career on my own terms. And I didn't think that workplace was designed to support my vision and goals, as well as us women in the workplace. And I wanted to have freedom. Freedom was one of the first values that I had. And so I pursued the career that would allow me to have freedom. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight. It was quite a bit of challenges along the way. And you have to be prepared that along this way, especially if you're pursuing entrepreneurship, the pathway isn't going to be linear. You aren't going to hit success on your first try. And you're going to have to try over and over again to hit success, right? And even within my business today, not everything that I try, even despite all the successes that we had, not everything succeeds, not everything wins. So you have to continuously be invested in establishing yourself, building yourself up, advocating for yourself, selling your goals and dreams, and continuing to work on everything. Yes, and you can find me through my full name on LinkedIn. All right, so you can just find me. I think Raimonda Jan is my LinkedIn. So today I am a best-selling author. I have published 4 books so far. I host the annual Women Thrive Summit, which is women empowerment event that happens 3rd week every March. We have a podcast. We have a magazine that is a print internationally. I've spoken on many, many stages and hosted many events. Actually, I delivered more than 500 hours of online, not just online, but speaking itself. I'm a graduate at the University of Westminster. I did come back to be a visiting lecturer in the entrepreneurial module. 15 years of entrepreneur, probably 10 years in the online marketing, over 600,000 followers across the board, and you'll find us at Women Thrive Media. And I have become pretty influential voice in the coaching industry. And today I lead hundreds of speakers in my various programs. I coach authors. I coach women who want to establish themselves as the go-to authority in their field. So yeah, keep those questions coming. So my mission, and you'll see why this is important, and you'll see some positioning. So this is actually my Facebook banner, and I wanted to bring this forward, not just to show off, all right? I don't make my business about myself. I built my platform to empower other women to have a voice. If I built this huge audience just for myself, I don't think it would be fair to do that. So I built the Women Thrive platform to create a platform for women to have a voice. So that's why we have global events where I feature more than 50 speakers every year, and 30% of those speakers are first-time speakers. We write books and we help them become co-authors and published authors through our platform. I host a podcast where I interview inspirational women, and that's one of the reasons why I have been nominated as one of the thought leaders of the year last year by Women Changing the World Awards, and actually this year they invited me back as a speaker. Now, you will see some clues. Some of the things that I share today isn't going to be teaching you this is exactly how you do it, okay? You're going to have to pick up clues from what I'm sharing and stories that I'm telling you, all right? So you can make up your own mind and how do you want to build your personal brand. But I'm going to give you enough so you can start getting there in terms of building your own personal brand. I want to get you thinking about what does your personal brand look like? So within the social media environment, anywhere that you have social media profiles, you have prime estate, real great positionings for your brand. And we're going to, in the next few slides, get to how do you create this messaging. But I don't want you to overlook the power of social media, the power of the banners, of your professional images, your headshots, all the things that are visual to the external world, okay? So with this banner, what it does, it has my picture, so it's straight away recognizable, a picture that I have used across various social media platforms. It has my name on it, and it tells the people what exactly that I do. It says, I help female entrepreneurs, coaches, and speakers become unapologetically visible go-to experts in their field. This is my positioning statement to say, this is what I do. And what I want you to do is take a screenshot of this and think about, what is your positioning statement? What is it that you do? How do you add value? And we're going to go through that in just over the next few slides. But if you look at it, this is straight away starting to position me as an authority. This shows you my brand. If you look at the blue color behind me, this is exactly how my website, the same colors that my website has. And if you type in my full name, RaimondaJankunaite.com, you will find my website. And on my website, you will see various components of thought leadership, branding, visibility, things that I do, but it helps me build my authority. So when I am opening the doors to conversations, hey, like I received an email from Women Changing the World Awards, and I replied back to them. They were promoting their event, and I replied back to them. And I said, last year, I was nominated as a finalist at your Thought Leader of the Year Awards, all right? And I see that you have another event coming up in London. They are from Australia, by the way. I would love to be considered as a speaker. So now I'm starting to position myself as someone of value, okay? And straight away they responded to me and said, yes, we would like to have a conversation with you next week, all right? So they're already considering of inviting me back to their event as a speaker. Why is that? Now I have the credibility and I can share some expertise, right? And we already have something built. So I was connected to them and they can see my personal brand and the value that I bring. So I encourage you that what you're looking here right now has been work of many years. But no matter how small of a win, no matter how little that you may have today, you may have not published a book, you may have not started a podcast, you may have not won any awards yet, don't worry. That will come. I want you to know that each and every one of you is someone who can bring value. And if you bring value in any way, shape, or form, and you position yourself as a thought leader, you position yourself as someone who can help someone, you will start to get noticed. And in today's world, when people are looking for resources, looking for speakers, looking for workforce, these things people pay attention to. So many people are lost because they are doing what a society expects them to do and become. And I think this is the greatest shame, that people go into a workforce expecting that their job or their workplace is going to define them. The truth is, the workplace isn't going to define you. You have to define yourself, especially when it comes to your personal brand or your area of expertise. I mean, many of you may have built your CVs and already got a taste that, yeah, I have to find my own magic. But if you're expecting to go into a career today or a business or entrepreneurship, that this is going to define you, the truth is, you have to define yourself. So this is what we're going to be talking about, how to define your own lane. How do you position yourself in this lane and become that person that people go to, invite to speak on stages, invite you to be part of a books, invite you to be featured in the media, and actually open the doors to various opportunities and collaborations. Are you still with me? I'm just checking in. I want to make sure that you're still with me. Are you interested? Are you taking notes? Amazing. I know you're probably concentrating, taking notes. Hopefully you're not multitasking right now, because I do want you to take the time to think about this. And like I said, there's a lot of things I'm sharing between the lines. So you got to be aware to pick up, what am I sharing between the lines? The picture right behind me is actually an event that I hosted in Valencia. Now, I now live in Valencia. I've spent 20-something years living in London. But these women behind this picture are women who have flown from all around the world to be at my event in Valencia to speak on my stage. These are the women I have helped to co-author a book, right? Women Thrive, Inspiring True Stories of Women Overcoming Adversity. And if you can imagine the level of influence that I have been able, and I don't mean to say this to blow my own trumpet, right? I mean to say the level of trust that people have in you as an individual, in your brand, that they would step on a plane. Some of these women have never left the United States. They have flown from California, from Alaska, from Germany, from Czech Republic, from UK, to be there for 1 week with me in Spain, because I told them I couldn't travel anywhere because I've just become a new mom, and they had to come to me if we were to do this event together, right? So that's a level of trust and the relationships that you can build as a result of you becoming a person of authority. So, and that's what I was sharing earlier. Don't expect your workplace to define you. You will have to become your own career pilot. And that's what I'm going to be sharing even more in the next few slides. How do you become your own career pilot? Because your workplace isn't going to define this for you. So let's talk about some brand foundations. And this might not be what a business school is going to teach you. I know the brand experts will tell you it's all about the colors and the messaging and other moving parts and the marketing pieces to the puzzle. And yes, that's the things that you can learn at university and all those marketing lessons. But this is not what I'm going to cover in today's session. It actually goes deeper than that, because your personal brand, it's not just about pretty colors. It's not just about the color schemes. It's not just about the writing on the wall, right? It's not. Can you tell us your YouTube channel name? It isn't recording to be shared. Yes. Okay. That's for the university. So your values. I want you to get really clear about your values. What is it that you stand for? And I start with this question to most people that I work because without you even knowing, your values is what defines your choices in life. My choice, as I mentioned earlier, was going into entrepreneurship. And the reason this was my choice, because I value freedom. I value being able to be creative and to add my own creativity into this world. And I have come from a background of entrepreneurs and business owners in my family, and that was just a natural thing for me. So because one of my values were freedom, I've chosen entrepreneurship. Another value that I have in my business was joy. And another value that I have was collaboration over competition, building a community. So therefore, the way I have shaped my business is based on my values. So I invite you to think at least 3 values that shapes your decisions. And usually your values comes from your experiences. So it's actually more deeply rooted than you think. And if you look at most incredible brands, they have values. They have mission statements. They have something that guides. It's like the internal guiding compass. And in life, there are going to be some career paths or opportunities that you either will accept and say, this is in my alignment, or there will be some opportunities that you will say, I reject that. I don't even know why, but I reject that. And it comes back to the values that guide your decisions. So I want you to really get clear, because this is going to be some of the foundational pieces of your personal brand. It may not look like that yet, and you may not even know what they are, but if you dig deeper, you will figure it out. The second part is your cause and your mission. What is the cause that you're championing? What is your mission in life, right? This is something that defines your work. This is something that defines your purpose in this world. And happiest are those who actually figure out why they were born, why were they placed on this earth, what to do what. Because if you can pursue your true mission and your cause, and you're going to actually be really happy in your career. So in your own career, what do you want to advocate for? What is it that you feel strongly about? Maybe there are causes, maybe there is something that, like for me, when I was graduating, the thing that I was passionate about was actually sustainability. All right. I was passionate about that because I could see the issues that we were creating in this world. So my first business was actually deeply rooted, not only in my values, but the thing that I had a belief in. So I had a mission to actually change the way we consume water and introduce an alternative way to drinking water. So I created an innovative vending machines for schools and universities to refill bottles. So that was my first business that was deeply ingrained in my mission and my cause. Why do I even share this? You'll find out in a moment why I even share this, because this is important. Then the next thing is your unique selling point, right? What's unique about you? If you're going to establish a powerful personal brand that people feel attached to, that people feel moved by, and they buy into your mission, I want you to think, what value do you bring? Because when I do speaking on stages, I don't just teach. I don't just tell them how to do this. I actually advocate for my mission. I actually talk about my cause. I actually bring in my values. So then I can create those much deeper connections to the people who are listening, right? If they care about the same things that I care about, they'll be aligned to me, and they will be much more likely to buy into my business and my mission, all right? But that's not it. I bring value. How can I bring value? How can I be the person who actually brings something to the table? So whether you're looking for a career or whether you're pursuing a business, you got to think about, what value do I bring to others, right? You've seen my positioning statement earlier. And I guess by now you probably know how I bring value to other people, right? I have a magazine, I publish books, I help people with their personal brands and building authority. So let's dive into a little bit deeper. I'm going to break these points down a little bit more for you. And I want you to start taking notes now and thinking about these things. All right. I promise you at the end, all of it will come together. So what if you were the pilot of your own destiny? What if you got to choose how this plays out? All right. Behind me, you see Jack. Jack is a friend of mine. He is videographer. He is an incredible videographer. And Jack actually started his own business because he no longer wanted to work for other corporations and organizations. He wanted to become his own pilot of his own destiny. Today, he works with incredible international companies. I just actually got in touch with him just before we went on to the session. I said, Jack, I need some of the footage from the retreat and the events that we've done. And he's like, Ray, I'm working with some serious organizations here. I'm fully booked. And Jack is a solo man. He doesn't have a big team. He doesn't have a big organization. Yet some of the biggest brands in the world hire him to film for them. Why is that? Now, Jack has a couple things under his belt. He has the track record. He is a person of value. And he's also started to build a personal brand, but not just a personal brand the way you think about it. It's not the pretty colors. No. Jack goes beyond that. And when you think about Jack brings his personality. And this is something I want you to think about. What is my personality? What is the experience that people are going to have when they have their touch points? I hired Jack for the first time in 2018 in some of the pictures that you've seen earlier, right? Last year, I flew Jack from London to Spain, and he was the only person that I called on to say, Jack, you're going to film my event here. And he said, Ray, I'll be there no matter what. He booked out half of the week from his schedule and he flew in. And you know why I hired Jack? Yeah, he is a great videographer for sure. But you know what? More than that, his personality, the experience that I have with his work, right? His brand, his business is out of this world. We have fun, we have love, right? He's a great guy. So no matter whether you're a business owner or you're someone who's going into a workforce, your brand is your personality. Your brand is you. Your brand is your smile. Your brand is your energy. And if you think that when you're stepping into a meeting and you're not going to be yourself, or you're just going to stay on the sidelines and not bring your personality forward, I want you to think again, because this could be the thing between you winning a contract or you losing it. And it doesn't matter if you have an incredible brand, but that brand doesn't match your personality, it's not going to work. And even if you want to build a personal brand because you want to go into business or you want to work for another business, you are your personal brand. Not the pretty colors, not the background images, not a color scheme. You are your personal brand. And I want you to take that advice seriously. Because if you're leaving university today and you're thinking about pursuing your career goals, you are going to become your brand, right? Some organizations in the corporate world perhaps may not want you to have like an online personal brand. They may not want you to build thought leadership. But guess what? They will want you to build relations, maybe within the organization, maybe outside, and you will become known for something. So I want you to become a pilot of your own destiny because you have become intentional about you are the brand. How do I present myself? How do I show up? How do I build relationships? What stories do I tell people? What's their experience of me? Every time you have a touch point with someone, and this, I'm being very intentional about my brand and the way we have touch points with our clients, because I'm not only having one-on-one conversations with my clients. In fact, we have communications with thousands of people, and I have nearly 20 people working in my organization. So everybody has to understand how my brand touches other people, right? But I want you to take control of this for yourself and think, I am the pilot of my own destiny. I am my brand, and I'm going to present myself in the way that I want people to experience me. All right. So be more like Jack. He probably has no idea that I'm talking about him right now. So let's come back to your personal values. Okay. So if you haven't jotted down your personal values, can you jot it down into the chat right now? At least one personal value. What value do you have as your guiding compass? Thank you, Anthony. Jack hasn't even stepped a foot in this room and his story is being told, right? Well done about picking that up. It's really, really good. So your personal values. And you see, again, some of these people that you see right here, like what you see right now on the picture is Lauren. Lauren is one of my authors from the book, and she has incredible story in the book. Again, she doesn't even know I'm telling her story right now, but I am. And you'll find out why in a moment. Oh, I see those values. Keep them coming. I want to see those values coming in. Freedom, empathy, self-made, faith and calm, and independence. And I want you to observe what's going on in the chat now. All right. Look at what can you make out of. So I have Ragav. His value, right? Maybe him says integrity. Natasha says resilience, honesty, creativity, inclusivity, independence. When you look at these values, who would you want to do business with? Who may you not want to do business with? Maybe we don't have values in here that would deter you from these people, right? But your values shapes your relationships and also your decisions. And if you get really, really clear about your values, I promise you that it will help you steer your ship in the right direction. It will help you navigate your career in any professional capacity and your relationships because you know about your values. And you will choose things that are only in alignment with you. And you can become much more purposeful and fulfilling. Your career will become much more purposeful and fulfilling because you don't choose to work for organizations or build partnerships with other organizations or work with people that doesn't align with your values. If your value is honesty and you go into an organization that has a lot of secrets and they're not being honest, the boss is actually lies about things, you're probably going to be very, very unhappy. So then you got to make a choice. Am I going to stay here because I'm getting a good paycheck, or it doesn't align my values? So I'm actually going to look for a job or an opportunity where it does align me with my values. If you align your personal values to your career, it's going to give you much more personal joy. I promise you, you're going to have much more fun, right? Within my organization, one of my values is entrepreneurship. I started this business as an entrepreneur, and everybody, all the 20 people that are working in my business right now actually have their own businesses. And I encourage that because the reason why I didn't want to go into a job, because I didn't want to not be an entrepreneur. I didn't want my ideas not to be heard. So that's why I created the environment that I have created today to allow people to have their own businesses whilst they work for me. And I encourage that. And I coach these people and I ask them, well, how you're going to be growing your business as well, right? So in my organization, this is my value and I uphold that with my other team members. And this way, your choices in the way you pursue your career is going to be much more rewarding for you in the long run, right? If you get clear on this today, you're going to be rewarded in the long term. I didn't know this when I started, and I'm here to tell you, and I'm lucky to be here to be able to share this story with you where you are today. You're dedicating 1 hour of your life right now to be here. So be intentional about the value that you bring out of this for yourself. All right. So I want to see pages filled with notes, and I'll give you a bonus. If you come back, if you go ahead and tag me at Women Thrive Media, or my full name, Raimonda Jankunaite, on Instagram, I'm going to reshare it, but also I'm going to give you some resources, because I have a library of resources to help you, whether you're in an entrepreneurship or career path. I want to share some resources with you. So take screenshots and tag me, and I'd love to see your notes or pictures of yourself. Let's start building this personal brand. On Women Thrive Media Instagram account, I've got 120 something thousand followers. I am going to reshare those tags. All right. So as soon as I finish here, jump here on Instagram to see that. Or LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. As long as you tag me, I'm going to reshare it. So my mission in life is not merely to survive, but thrive. And to do so with some passion, with compassion, some humor and style. I don't know. I love a bit of quotes. I've always been passionate about quotes. So if you want, take a screenshot. Again, the ladies behind me are my clients, ladies who may not even know that I'm mentioning their names here today. But that's the thing. When you get aligned to your true purpose and your values, you no longer need to just survive in some, if I say, crappy job, right? Then you can really create a thriving career for yourself. And you can do that. For me, I want to do it with passion. I want to do it with compassion for other people. I never were into office politics and climbing the corporate ladder. No, because I don't think people build businesses there with heart. And I wanted to build my business with heart. I want to have fun. I want to have experiences with my clients that we travel the world and do it in style, because I create the most luxurious retreats for my clients, and I uphold this because that's what I wanted. That was my mission when I started my business. So what is your mission when you set out on your career goals, on your business goals? What's your mission? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to end up? And I remember I told you, be the pilot of your own destiny. Where are you taking this? Where are you taking this personal brand? And I have this question that I always ask people. So what, right? So what we're doing this? I want you to ask yourself, okay, I'm going to be stinking rich. That's what I want. Okay, but so what? Right? My so what was that I can have freedom. I can work with whomever, whenever, from whenever, right? I used to live in London for 20 years. And after I've done everything, I wanted to change where I lived. So I picked up my life and moved to Spain because I wanted to have fun. I wanted to have a life that is a lifestyle, right? So that was my so what, me being able to build my business in order to work from wherever I wanted. And I get to choose whether I want to sleep in, whether I want to work till late. I'm not defined by somebody else's working hours of what my life should look like. Your mission. So where are you headed? Where are you headed with all of this? All right. What are your career goals? Where do you want to take it? Do you want to become a CEO of a big organization? Do you want to become the best well-known architect? Do you want to become a successful coach? What's your vision for your career? For me, what inspired me? I used to actually travel to the United States when I was in my mid-20s. And there was a magazine called Success Magazine. I used to pick up this magazine. I used to read the stories of other successful entrepreneurs in this magazine. I used to read their advice, how to build a business, how to build a personal brand, how to create marketing strategy. I used to be so inspired. I used to look at this magazine and be like, one day I want to be in this magazine. Now, It's been 15 years since I started reading that magazine, and I used to buy these in bulk. Wherever I traveled, I used to get copies of Success magazine so I can go home and read them all. But today, I have my own magazine. Because for me, I realized when I started to build my entrepreneurial dream that not enough media publications were actually interested in women in entrepreneurship stories. And I wanted to create a place where every woman's dream to be in a magazine, on the cover of a magazine, could be realized. So actually, instead of waiting for this opportunity, I realized that I can do it myself. I don't have to wait for these opportunities. So I want you to think about, where do you want to take it? If there was no limits to your career goals, to the success that you can have, to the vision that you can create, what would you do? 10 years from now, what would you be doing? Honestly, when I started, I had no idea I'll be the founder and CEO of an incredible magazine. I'd be hosting summits for thousands of people. I'd have 50 incredible speakers, women who have years, decades of business experience, and they are super credible people, would be speaking on my stage, and they would be sitting there and listening to me and taking me as their leader. I had no idea that this would ever happen in my wildest dreams. So I want you to think bigger than where you are today. No matter the limitations, no matter where you have come from, no matter what is your background, no matter even if you have a job, no job, if you're broke as hell, I was there too. I was broke. When I mean I was broke, I was broke. I couldn't even buy a can of beans, right? When I was starting my entrepreneurial dream, I invested everything into it. But that's what it takes. And that's what's going to build your resilience. That's what's going to build your strength. And when I was down there, when I didn't have anything, I couldn't even dream that big. I just wanted to get by and pay my bills, right? But you can. And the more you lean into, what is your mission? Why am I doing this? What's important to you? Why does it even matter? Like if you want to become this mega successful person, why does it matter to you? And what impact do you want to make in this world? Because truly, what I realized about success, it's not about me. It's the impact I make on other people. That is why I'm driven to do what I do, to do public speaking. I'm not getting paid for this hour right now. In fact, I have a coaching call running right now that I'm not holding for my own clients right this moment. But I choose to be here. Because what's important to me is paying it forward. What's important to me, that I leave you with some part of my knowledge that hopefully will help you on your own journey, in your career, in your entrepreneurship, in building your own personal brand. So you don't have to go through 10 years of trying to figure it out, and you can walk away with this today. So if you could impact anyone, who would you want to impact? Maybe it's someone like yourself. Maybe it's youth. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's a particular industry. The clearer that you can get about your career goals, why do you want to do it? What's your vision of your own future? How you want to make impact? Most importantly, why does it even matter? Why? Why do you want to do it? And I want you to take this screenshot right now and to make sure you spend some time working on this. Because the more clearer you're going to get about this, the more you'll be able to navigate your path to your own definition of success. Because remember, your workplace isn't going to define your path. They aren't going to build your brand for you. That's up to you to do that. So get super clear. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Suzanne and Sophia. Your brand story is you, right? You heard some of the stories that I shared today, but Beyond just your mission, your values, your purpose, there's your story. And I always tell my clients to share your story, because this is how your name is going to be mentioned in the rooms where your foot have not stepped into. Okay? Your story. What is your story? How did you get here? And I always say to my clients, it doesn't matter if you are the best coach in the world. It doesn't matter if you're the best at what you do. But if you can't tell your own story and why you do what you do and how you got to where you are today, nobody will care. When I host speakers on our summit, most speakers say to me, how can I pack all of this information in 45 minutes of presentation? And I tell them it's not about the information you're going to impart. It's about the connection that you build. It's about the story that you get to share with your audience. That's what they're going to remember. They're not going to remember the strategies. You know, when you go and sit at that boring old lecture and you're nearly falling asleep because you're learning all of these strategies that you don't even know how to implement in your own business. And you know, the one thing that you're going to walk away from that lecture is a funny story that your lecturer told you, how he spilled tea all over his trousers and had to run home and get changed, right? That's what you're going to remember. So your story is something that is memorable. And when you leave that meeting room that you have, let's say you walked into a meeting room, and it's not only how you present yourself in that experience, but the story about yourself and your mission that you share in that room, that's what people are going to remember. Not your accolades, not the 20 things that you listed on your CV. It's going to be your story. It's going to be your mission. It's going to be your vision that people will remember. So don't underestimate the power of your story and sharing it. Share it. Talk about it. Whenever you get an opportunity to talk about your story, do it. So this is the most powerful tool to spread your message. Most powerful brands have a story. And I encourage you to think, what is yours, right? In today's world, we have social media. We are in a selfie age, right? Where you can take selfies and document your journey. And you probably have seen many things have gone viral because of a story. I think during the pandemic, if you remember, there was a 102-year-old man who was doing laps around his house. Right? He was doing laps around his house and he raised millions of pounds for a choice of his charity. That was a story that gone viral. Now, he isn't someone who, of course, he was quite achieved from his, military background, but he had a great story. He had a great mission and the news picked it up. So why not start sharing your own story? If you think that's not important right now, it's because you don't see the value in your own story. But actually, every one of you have story. Yes, if you have any questions, do make sure you share that. We've got a few more slides. And do I still have you with me here today? Let me know. I can see we've still got 70 plus people here. So let me know in the comments my story. What is your story? I wanna make sure that you leave today's session with some inspiration to actually be empowered to share your own story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want you to think about elevating. And your personal brand and your story and everything that you bring into this world going to become so good that they can't ignore you. That is truly the power of a powerful personal brand that is going to stand out. It's hard to stand out in today's world. As a coaching industry where I work has exploded over the last 10 years. I mean, seriously exploded. But there are some people that over and over and over again always have clients, like Jack. He always has clients. He is always booked out. So have that mindset of become that good that they just can't ignore you. Be relentless at it. Show up, share your story, be out there, be thoughtful about how you're showing up, right? These women you see in this picture, again, these are the clients that flew into Spain and we had a photo shoot. And look at them, look at the smiles. And today they use these professional pictures in their marketing, in their websites. When they show up online, they look so good. People can't even ignore their marketing stuff on there anymore. Okay? So they stand out. So how are you going to stand out? Your unique selling proposition, your unique selling point, become that good that people just can't ignore it. You are the person of value. What do you bring to the table? How are you different from all these thousands of applicants in this world? Recently, I was hiring for a podcast manager and editor, video editor. And there's a Facebook group which I'm part of. It has 800,000 entrepreneurs in this Facebook group. And I put a post up in there middle of the night and I said, I'm looking for a podcast editor. My post and my DMs, I got inundated with people saying, hey, I can edit your videos. I only charge $3 an hour. I charge $10 an hour, $15, $50, $100 an hour. How do you choose from all these people who can say they do exactly the same job? My head was spinning. I'm not even going to lie. My head was spinning like, how on earth? It's great to have a choice, but I've got like 20 DMs, 50 comments on this thread. I don't have time to interview everyone. I seriously don't have the time. And there was one person that stood out. He was actually, somebody saw my post and introduced me to this person. And this guy, Brian, in Philippines, he reached out to me. And his first approach to me, he's like, hey, Raimonda, I was introduced to you. Somebody saw your post and this is what I do. And from the moment he started to communicate with me, he was professional. He was thoughtful. He was very clear. He, even in his proposition, in what he has to offer, he went away and created a little Canva image of 3 levels of services that he does, right? At every single touch point, I could see the value that he brings, how he works, how thoughtful he is. And I was like, he is really standing out. Now, he wasn't the cheapest by no means, right? He was above medium priced. And I thought to myself, this guy is good. I really like his approach. I like his professional, because for a CEO like myself, I don't have the time to manage people and I don't have the time to do quality checks because we need to edit hundreds of videos every year. So I gave him a chance and I hopped on a call with him and he was so brilliant. He went over and above from what my expectation was. He's like, Ray, not only I can do your video editing, but I'm also going to manage your podcast. I'm also going to make sure it's optimized on YouTube. I can design your cover banners. I can do this and this and that. And, I can actually create one package where I work for you on a monthly basis. Instead of you having to pay for every video, how about I just give you like a one-off package that we commit to? I didn't interview any other person. None. Why? Because he was that good. So I want you to think about yourself. Like, how can you excel in something that you do? And remember that brand touch? Remember that experience that people have with you? This is what's going to set apart your brand from everybody else. When there is a competitive market, you can stand out. So think about, what value do I bring to others? What are the unique skills that I possess in front of others? Like, this person has made a business out of his skill, video editing and learning podcasts. He was not born with the skill. He learned it over the last 3 years. And today he gets pretty good money. And every single time when I see someone looking for a podcast editor or podcast manager, guess who I tag? Brian. because he's the best in my eyes. Out of the 50 or 100 people who contacted me over that post, I say, it's Brian. He is the best. You go with him, you don't have to worry. And I never have to check his quality because every single time he nails it. So think about, what value do you bring to others? What are your unique skills? What experience do you have? Even if it's not a professional experience, let's say not in a job that you have ever had before, but what other experiences do you have? Maybe you have volunteered. Maybe you've mastered some skills that were not necessarily part of any past work experience that you've done. And also, how do you see things differently, right? I always say how you do one thing is how you do everything. And this is where you excel. So Betty says, how do you position yourself to stand out in a job interview in today's competitive world? So we can address that later on. You only have one chance to make that first impression. And I want you to remember this, because you don't have a second chance. So when it comes to your personal brand, to your CV, your covering letter, your presentation, you walking into that meeting, into that interview, you only have one chance to make that first impression. And I tell you what, usually based on the first impression, people will know whether they will want to hire you, work with you, or do business with you. Last year, I have interviewed more than 100 speakers to speak on our summit. Last year, we had 1,100 applicants to speak on our summit. We have 50 speaker opportunities on my stage. And between myself and my colleague here on the right, Abigail, we interviewed 250 speakers for our summit. Okay? 250 hours of talking to people. Most part, I already knew I wanted to have them on my stage in the first 5 minutes of having a conversation with them. Simple as that. I already knew. It's how they prepared for that interview. I have the whole criteria. And when you think about going into a job and going after your ideal career, going after that interview that you're going to be interviewed at for this job position, when you do your prep work, when you do your homework, I know homework is not sexy. This is something that all of your lecturers are telling you, hey, you got to do your homework, you got to do your assignment. But trust me when I tell you, when you get into the professional work, before you go to a job interview, do your homework. Be prepared. Show up as that professional. Show up like Brian. Show up like Jack, who's there to get it. Be so convinced in your own unique selling proposition, in your own value, what you bring to the table, that actually the opportunity is already yours. And I love when people come with that mindset of, I've done my homework, I know what I'm here to get, I know what I'm here to deliver. And guess what? That energy on its own, that confidence, that is going to land you that opportunity right there and then. So you have this one chance to make a first impression. So make sure it actually counts when you show up. I'm nearly there. So bring in those questions if you have any, and we'll have probably 15 minutes to still talk through any of your questions. Your personal brand is how others perceive you. So not only your online presence, your thought leadership, and all the collateral that you built, your podcasts, your interviews, your videos, articles, storytelling, your video content, your brand coherence. So how you do one thing is how you do everything. If I look at your online presence, so when I interview our speakers, I look at everything. I look at their social media presence, I look at their website, I look at their bio, I look at their application, and I have a 2-page criteria list where I go through every single thing on there. And I say, have they showed up on time? Have they watched the past summit? Have they looked at our values? Are they aligned with our values? Do they have a story? Do they have a personal brand? Do they have a product? Is their business fully positioned where they should be? I go through a whole list of things. So when you're trying to appeal to a recruiter, they're going to have a criteria, a long list of things that they expect you to have. So you got to think to yourself, what am I bringing to the table? How can I show up as that best version of myself? And some part of it is personal brand. So it depends where you want to build and position your personal brand. Like I said, some employers may not need you to have a personal brand, but it sure helps if you show up as a professional, if your stuff is polished, if your online brand speaks volumes of who you are, of what your values are. How are you a person of value? What is your track record? What is your experience? What other people are saying about you? What are testimonials on your LinkedIn? When I just started out, when I graduated from university, I was like, I need to ask all of my friends to leave me a testimonial on my LinkedIn. Have you done that yet? Have you optimized it, right? Have you positioned yourself as the person that you want to showcase? Because when a recruiter is searching for you, or when people are considering you for whatever the opportunity might be, one chance to make the first impression. The minute they looked at it, they either liked it or they not. You use less than 3 seconds to make the first impression. 3 seconds, probably less. Bonus points if you Google yourself, and even more bonus points if every touch point of your personal online presence is coherent, says the same things, has the same picture, shows that you're an expert, has some videos, and all of those things. These are all the things that create an overall picture of who you are beyond your CV. Because CV doesn't tell me anything. CV is just the first. Your covering letter and your CV is just the first thing. But there's so much more that goes behind the hiring decisions. All right. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is going to help you win some opportunities. And guess what? Most times when you're applying for opportunities, when you're pitching yourself out there, when you're looking for clients, most likely you're going to feel really invisible. And you're going to think, does anybody even see you? Does anybody even paying attention? Does anybody even reading your email? So I'm here to tell you that even if they don't see you, make sure you see yourself. I want you to look at the mirror and say, I see myself. I see in a mirror that person who brings value to the table, who brings credibility, who brings empathy, who brings trust, who brings credibility, who brings whatever your values are, whatever it is that you're uniquely positioned to bring into this world. I want you to see yourself. I want you to look over your stuff and say, this is good. I'm looking at this from a perspective outside this perspective, and I can say, this is good. And if you don't see yourself that way, I want you to go back and work it through. So when you see yourself, you're actually really, really proud to show yourself off to the world, because that's my goal. When I create personal brand for myself or my clients, I want to be proud. I want to be sharing it. I want to be speaking on stages, and for people when they go onto my social media presence, and that's why I put my social media handle, my name on there, because you can go and find me, go and research, go onto my websites and figure it out for yourself, right? So even if you don't see yourself, make sure, even if they don't see you, they see yourself. And eventually, others will start taking notice of you. Everybody else will start taking notice of you. All right? That's the power of your personal brand. And when you start building, you may not realize how much it's changing people's perspectives. You may not realize the effect that it's taking on other people. The results aren't going to come straight away. People aren't going to say, hey, your brand is amazing, come and work for me. No. But if you see yourself and you take steps towards the amazing personal brand that you want to create, eventually everybody else will start paying attention. And that, my dear, is going to open incredible opportunities all around the world, and you get to do all the amazing things that you desire to do. That's me. If you desire to stay connected, you can find me on Instagram at my full name, Raimonda Jankunaite, Raimonda Jan on LinkedIn and Facebook. My email is on screen, websites, so take a screenshot, tag me, connect with me. And if you want some free resources on business or personal brand, just put hashtag what it takes and send me a DM, and I'll make sure to come back to you with some cool resources. Or if you just want to connect with me and just say thank you. And I would love to see you at the Women Thrive Summit. If you are available 18 to the 22nd of March, this is a free virtual event. You can tap in from anywhere in the world. It's happening from 9 a.m. till probably 9 p.m. at night. In 2 weeks' time. So if you happen to be available, tap in and see what we do. That's it, Maria. It's over to you. I hope this session was useful and practical for your audience.
Thank you so much, Raimonda. This was such a fantastic talk. And I'm not going to lie, I have made probably as many notes as our students did. So thank you for sharing all these fantastic tips, and thank you for telling your story so proudly and in such an inspiring manner.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Maria. Pleasure.
We still have 10 minutes, and I have a list of questions from the chat. So I think what I will do, I will just ask you a couple of questions, and we'll see if we have time. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk about all of them.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So I will start with some of the questions that were asked closer to the end, just because I feel that they are applicable to most students. So the first one was, how do you position yourself to stand out in a job interview in today's competitive world? Do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, so I think that's something that I actually covered as I saw that question, is really being that person of value, being someone unique, and it's a puzzle. It's not a one thing. And as you've seen, I dropped nuggets of knowledge and tips throughout my session to say, go the extra mile, make that first impression, Google yourself, look at yourself from a perspective of your employer. What are they expecting? And what do you expect from yourself? And I think as you start to, it's like pieces to the puzzle. You create this, you bring together all these little pieces that they seem little at the time, but when someone looks at the overall picture from the outside, they can see exactly what you're about. So take care of recreating your brand.
Thank you. This is very helpful. There is another question about LinkedIn. And so the question is, how can students improve their LinkedIn pages to attract endorsement? So obviously you have mentioned already that you can ask your classmates to leave some recommendations, for example. Is there anything else that they can do to improve their LinkedIn to attract this attention, to ensure that they're visible?
Most social media platforms works like a search engine. So if you're looking for a job in a particular sphere, I want you to think about the keywords that people would be looking for to find you. And yeah, the banners, professional photos, writing. There's many features in today's social media platforms to optimize your profile. So go through all the steps and make sure that you optimize every part of it. And yeah, work with your other colleagues and peers to support each other, to write peer-to-peer reviews, testimonials. It really helps, especially as you're starting out. When other people see that you have testimonials, others will be more interested in leaving some.
This is very helpful. Thank you. And yes, peer pressure and basically seeing other people interested often get others interested. So I agree, it always works. We have several similar questions. Basically, lots of attendees really enjoyed the way that you delivered your presentation today. And they were asking how they can develop confidence in public speaking and how can they generally improve as public speakers.
Yeah. This is an interesting question because for many years, I actually struggled with my voice. I wasn't a speaker, far from it. I was actually most afraid of public speaking. And in my mid-20s, I also lost my voice due to trauma. So using my voice is deeply personal to me. And at some points, I really thought I I lost my voice. I couldn't use it. So it's great to hear that you see the confidence in my speaking today, because it has taken many years to hone in onto this practice. And what drove me to actually speak is because I knew my mission and my purpose in life was more than my fear of speaking or fear of using my voice. And I had to really go through a big journey of self-empowerment to start using my voice in the way that I do today. So practice genuinely makes it perfect and up to date. I think I have 500 hours of speaking, and that's what makes you an expert in anything that you want to do. You got to get out there and speak. Before I was invited to speak on any stage, I actually created my own. I started to run workshops. I started to create events because, again, my mission in life was more important to me than any fear that could hold me back.
Thank you for sharing. And 500 hours of public speaking, that's a lot. But it's also nice to see. I feel like it's always good for our students to hear about this kind of journey, that you didn't start as someone being invited to all the stages. You started smaller and progressed to where you are at now. So students shouldn't be scared to start. It's all about the journey rather than a destination.
Yeah. Any opportunity you have, speak. Genuinely, I'm such a advocate for people using their voice today, for speaking up for themselves, sharing their stories, seeing first-time speakers take the stage, because speaking is one of those skills that you will hone in for life. And once you hone in on the speaking skills, you can make so much impact. You can influence people. You can move mountains, but you can move people in a large audiences to take action, and it's incredibly empowering.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions regarding entrepreneurship, because like you saw in the chat at the beginning, there are lots of people interested in entrepreneurial journey. So the first question about that was about starting a business of their own. So there is someone who wants to start a business of their own, but whenever they think of a business, it's either they feel that this business either wouldn't work, or it's beyond their budget, or someone has already done it and it's really successful, so they feel that they cannot compete with them. So do you have any advice for this person?
Yeah. If you go into a business thinking that there is too much competition or somebody else has already done it, you'll never succeed in anything. If you go and apply for a job that you think so many other people has applied for it, you're never going to get that job, right? You're never going to succeed, because in every part of the world, everywhere you turn, there's going to be competition. What makes it unique is you. All those things that I shared today, your values, your brand touch points, your mission, your purpose, your story. People want to do business with you because of you. You've heard me talk about Brian, who pitched me his podcasting services. I was pitched hundreds of times, right? And other people who succeeded at this. And you're not going to succeed at everything from the first try. You have to take your chances. You have to try. You have to have those conversations, and only then you'll be able to find something that is worthwhile. For me, it's about what is worthwhile pursuing for you. And what is in alignment with you, that every day you wake up and that feels like, hey, I just want to jump out of bed and do this thing. And when people choose to work with you, they really see why you do what you do, and they only want you. They don't care about competition. It's like, yeah, I have 100 other people doing the same thing, but they are going to come to you because of you. So you are the most important piece to that puzzle, no matter what business you're creating.
This is very helpful. Thank you. And I think this is such a good conclusion of the talk that you have given us today. A lot of it is about reflecting on who you are, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, thinking who you want to see what you are doing and to see yourself, and just finding them and talking to them and making your dream happen. We are almost out of time, so I think that we probably will have to stop with the questions at the moment. I just want to thank you, Raimonda, for your time so much. I feel like we all learned so much from you today. And for everyone who is on this talk, please make sure to connect with Raimonda on LinkedIn and tag Raimonda if you want to share any bits of learning that you brought from this conversation today. As we're finishing this, I can see that my colleagues has shared a feedback form on the chat, so please make sure to complete the feedback form. I'm sure that both Raimonda and ourselves will want to hear how you felt about this event. Finally, our next What It Takes of the series will be What It Takes to Ignite Social Change, taking place online on Tuesday, the 12th of March. So I do hope to see many of you there. And yes, thank you for your time. Thanks, Raimonda. Thank you, everyone. Good luck with building your personal brand and good luck with all your future endeavors.
Thank you. This has been a pleasure, and good luck to all of you. And I really look forward to connecting with you.